So you've read George's book?
I have.
What did you think? You can be honest.
Well, I'd say it's a rare treat to see a man express his feelings so freely. William is often as closed as a clam.
I'm sorry.
Don't be. It's just his way.
My mother would be scandalized if she knew I was visiting a place like Miss Harper's.
Your mother? I would have been disowned. Julia Όγκτεν, how could you waste your money on such an indulgence? Oh, Miss Tsérì.
Dr. Όγκτεν. Don't bother, it's still locked.
Oh, it's impossible. I have an appointment. As do we all. Perhaps it's the wrong day.
It seems unlikely all four of us would make the same mistake.
It can't be closed. Mrs. Harper herself is visiting the salon today. Most accomplished woman. This is her 10th such salon.
She began as a child of servitude. She's amassed quite an impressive...
I'm aware of that. And I intend to interview her.
Oh, so you're not having your hair done?
I'm a very busy woman. I'm a journalist.
I assumed that was the reason for the interview.
Miss Newsome is a lawyer.
Good for you.
I believe we have a friend in common. George Crabtree.
Ah, yes. You two are keeping company, aren't you?
We are.
I would advise you to watch yourself around him.
I beg your pardon?
Well, he gave me quite the line about wanting to start a family. Not that I was interested, of course. And then he threw me over for a burlesque dancer. She was short. Unlike yourself.
It's true, I'm not average.
Well, you're right about that.
Ladies, I think our appointments have been cancelled. The victim is Miss Ramona Keating, the owner of the salon. It appears she was killed sometime last night.
I'll be able to provide you with a more specific time of death soon.
Thank you.
Of course, but I was addressing Detective Érdhuis.
So, you came to see the victim to get your hair done, Doctor?
That's right.
That's progress, isn't it? Used to be only actresses and prostitutes would visit hairdressers.
Well, we are neither. It appears Miss Keating was struck on the head with a heavy object.
Looks to me like the counter came up to meet her.
I beg your pardon?
Smell the drink on her.
I did, but according to her friend, Mrs. Davis, Miss Keating didn't partake.
Well, she did last night. Then she stepped on the hair tonic that spilled on the floor over there. Seen it before, see it again.
You believe this to be an accident?
Ah, plain enough.
Miss Hart, what do you think of the angle of impact?
It is consistent with the fall.
So you don't believe she could have been struck or pushed?
As you know, I'll have to examine the wounds in the morgue before I can estimate the intensity of the impact.
Of course.
Which I will only be able to do once this conversation is finished.
And there you have it.
What's going on?
Miss West, I'm so sorry to have to tell you this. Miss Keating is dead.
What? How?
They believe it to be an accident.
I see. And I suppose you'll still be wanting your hair done?
What? No.
I'll leave you ladies to settle this. Good day.
What are you doing?
Whether Miss Keating is dead or not doesn't change the fact that Miss Harper will be inspecting the salon today. I'll need to get the place ready.
There's hair tonic on the floor here. Did it spill during business yesterday?
If it had, I would have mopped it up right away.
Then why would it be here?
I can't imagine.
If Miss Keating was indeed struck or pushed, the killer could have spilled the tonic on the floor to create the appearance of an accident.
You believe she was murdered?
I don't believe she wasn't.
You and your husband must live the most tortured lives, holding the entire world under suspicion like that.
Look, Margaret, I'm very busy. You can have whatever you want. You want a what? How big? How many people are you expecting to come to this little shindig of ours? Oh, Bill won't come, can't come. Audrey, that will all sort itself out, Margaret. Look, I have to go, I'm very busy. I'll find one. Bye. Oh, bloody hell.
What is it, sir?
I'll have to get Margaret to stop reading. Nothing good comes of it.
Why do you say that?
She's invited half the neighborhood to our house for a hangi.
A hangi?
It's a hangi. It's
It's a traditional way of cooking meat, yes, originated by the Maori, the indigenous people of New Zealand. It's wonderful. You dig a pit.
Bloody hell, Murdoch. Is there anything you don't know?
There must be some things.
One block further east, and the case would have fallen within your purview.
Julia.
What's all this about?
The owner of the hair salon I go to has died under mysterious circumstances.
Go to a hair salon, do you?
Yes, and I'm neither a prostitute or an actress, if you can imagine that.
Who's in charge of the investigation?
A Detective Éirwin?
Oh.
I don't think he's taking it seriously. I wish you could look into it, William.
Hang on. We're not about to go stepping on toes at Station House 3.
But, sir...
You heard Murdoch. There's only so many reprimands that I can handle. Now, if you'll excuse me.
Well, absent other evidence, I'm afraid I have to listen to the inspector.
So that's it.
I did say absent other evidence.
I told her she could clean up after I took pictures.
Not for her readers.
If that were the case, I would have done it while the body was still here.
Then who are they for?
Detective Μέρντοχ.
William isn't allowed to investigate. This is Detective Éirwin's jurisdiction.
That's a shame.
Yes, he's a twit. I've reported on his cases before.
My firm is fighting no less than 3 improper arrests he's made.
William will take a look, if we can give him reason.
And I suggest we find him one.
I did notice that the bank deposit bag was on the counter. Empty. Miss West is certainly taking a proprietary interest in the place.
Indeed she is. And where is Mrs. Davis?
She left shortly after you did.
There she is. Matilda Harper.
He's unusual. One of a kind, really. The only one in the land, I'd reckon.
And what happened?
He just ran away. I was supposed to be watching him, and he just ran away.
And you are speaking of a pig, correct?
Atlee, yes. I was on my way to High Park for a showing. I want to take him to the Winter Fair later this year, but now he's gone.
What have you, Watts?
Missing pig.
Oh. I see.
You're police, right? Aren't you supposed to help?
Well, you are in luck. Detective Watts is our best man. Detective Watts, you will help this boy find his pig, won't you?
It would be a pleasure, although you are the superior detective here.
Nonsense, nonsense. Solving a case like this will help you measure up.
All right, son. You were on your way to High Park?
I was walking. They wouldn't let me on the streetcar. It caused quite a fuss when I tried to get him on. I don't like Toronto. People aren't very friendly here.
What a terrible tragedy. Ramona was one of my favorite Harper girls. She had a genuine passion for women's beauty. Don't you agree, Alice?
She did, ma'am. If I may say, she repeated your motto every day. Charming people are made, not born.
And this job exceeded my expectations. I'm sure that was due to Ramona's appeal. I can't imagine anyone wanting to kill her.
We found her bank deposit bag and it was empty.
Could there have been a robbery?
She may have made a deposit last evening.
She didn't. In fact, they just said she hadn't been to the bank in the last few days.
Well, given the income she was reporting to my office, the deposit bag would have contained a tidy sum.
Who would have known about that?
She had a fiancé. They broke it off some time ago. He came by to pester her from time to time.
And what was his name?
I don't know. Ramona met him when she was working at her former place of employment, the home of Jasper Quinlan.
But like myself and many of my girls, Miss Keating was a servant before she opened the salon.
Perhaps her employers know of this delivery man.
Then let's go.
You don't want to tell the police?
Not at this particular time.
She worked for us for a time. She was our maid. I know nothing more about her than that.
You don't know anything about the man she was seeing?
As my husband said, she was our maid.
Name? Anything? What could be most helpful?
There was a Langer fellow who'd come by from time to time.
You don't know anything more about that?
What are you two up to, exactly?
We're looking into the circumstances surrounding Miss Keating's death.
Isn't that a matter for the police?
It is. We're merely assisting.
Did you know that pigs are a remarkably clean animal? Cleaner than most people, I reckon.
Still, trying to take him on a streetcar seems foolhardy.
We have to find him.
And we will.
Atlee's more than just a pig. I have a lot riding on him.
How so?
Well, most people think the fairs are a bit of fun, and they are, but this pig is also my future.
Does a blue ribbon raise the price of your animal?
No, it's not that. A good showing at the winter fair can cement my reputation as a breeder.
And I take it this Atlee is a fine specimen.
None finer. My family's future rests on finding it. And this is where I lost him.
I see. Any suggestions on how to track a beast like this Atlee?
You're the policeman.
Right, yes.
I already spoke with Mr. Langer.
So you believe there may have been foul play?
Mr. Langer said he hadn't spoken to Miss Keating in almost 2 years, and he has an alibi for last evening.
A credible one?
Credible, if not respectable. He was at the Ford Hotel with a woman. All night.
That woman's name?
A Miss Fern Franklin.
And your constable confirmed this with Miss Franklin?
Yes.
Well, that's good to know. Now, we also think there may be money missing from the salon.
Have there been robberies at other businesses in the neighborhood lately?
None reported. Good day, ladies.
Langer's alibi rules out our most obvious suspect.
But the money is still missing.
Unfortunately, that's not enough for me to open an investigation, especially in a different jurisdiction.
Still, it could be the key.
If you follow the inspector's line of thinking,
That is?
follow the money.
And what about your line of thinking, William?
If it seems suspicious, it usually is. Now, I must be off, ladies. Good afternoon.
Perhaps Miss Keating caught a robber in the act and was killed for it.
Her wounds didn't suggest a struggle.
With her business thriving, there could have been another motive as well.
What do you mean?
How much is this place worth? And who gets it if she dies? Miss Harper?
I would tender applicants, and when a suitable lady was found, she would be offered the franchise. Good Lord, look at those flowers.
Excuse me?
They're a disgrace.
Let me get those.
Why is this vase dry?
I hadn't put them in water yet.
You brought those?
Yes.
When? We were here when you arrived. You had nothing but a story about a delayed streetcar.
When did you bring those flowers?
Were you late, Miss West? Or did you arrive on time with flowers?
And then leave after you killed your boss and stole her money.
It's just you, me, and Miss Harper. Tell us what happened.
I know you think whoever stole the money killed Miss Ramona, but I swear I didn't hurt her.
Your streetcar wasn't delayed, was it?
No. I arrived on time at 8 o'clock.
And you brought the flowers with you.
Then you took the money from the bank deposit bag.
I would never have done it ordinarily. But my mother is being evicted and we can't afford rent for her. We were desperate.
So the money was still here after Miss Keating was killed. The theft had nothing to do with the murder.
I swear I didn't hurt Ramona. I'm so ashamed.
Tell us what you saw when you first came in. So you brought in the flowers?
Yes. I put them in the vase. I was carrying it to the sink when I saw her body.
Why didn't you call the police immediately?
Of course, that's what I meant to do.
Whatever stopped you?
There was a mess. I didn't want the police or Miss Harper to see the salon that way.
Was sort of a mess, my dear.
Well, she smelled of alcohol.
The police said the same, but Miss Keating didn't drink. It's part of what makes this all so mysterious.
Just, I didn't want anyone to think she died drunk, so I hid the liquor bottles.
Liquor bottles?
Yes. They were on the floor over there by some dirty rags. I put them away under the sink behind the cleaning supplies.
These rags have been soaked in alcohol. Someone was in the process of making a bottle bomb.
You think Ramona interrupted an arsonist?
But why would anyone want to set fire
To a women's hairdressing salon.
That's a very good question.
Well, now, supposing Miss Keating came to the salon after her supper last evening and caught a would-be arsonist in the act.
Maybe he killed her in fear of being discovered.
A heated exchange ensues, and in the course of it, he strikes her or she falls.
Well, you're a little late. I already have reason to suspect foul play.
Aside from the arson attempt?
Well, with the coroner's findings, I have reason to believe that Miss Keating was not what she appeared.
What were the coroner's findings?
There's no need to bother yourself any further, ladies. We will take it from here. Good day.
I believe a visit to the morgue is in order. Detective Éirwin said you had reason to suspect foul play.
I beg your pardon, Dr. Ogden, but what is your jurisdiction in this case?
The victim was an acquaintance. I'd like to know what happened.
And I expect you're free to read it in the newspaper along with everyone else.
Excuse me?
You seem to have drawn many of your own conclusions from the scene.
Miss Hart, I had no intention of overstepping. If you feel that I did, I apologize.
Detective Éirwin has my report. It's his decision whether to share it or not.
Have I done something to offend you, Miss Hart?
Not at all. But let me be quite clear.
Please.
This is not your morgue anymore to come and go as you wish. I run it now.
I helped you get in here, Miss Hart. Don't make me be the one to get you out.
If I were you, I'm not so sure that I would try that.
Did you leave the morgue on bad terms?
It appears so. Shame. I'm very curious to know what changed Detective Éirwin's mind about this case.
On that note, I may have glanced at the file.
Effie, that's utterly improper. Tell me everything.
Much of the report was as we expected. Inconclusive as to whether Miss Keating was struck or fell into the counter.
What?
She hadn't been drinking.
Making a fall much less likely.
Yes, and there's something else. Miss Keating had had a baby.
I never heard Miss Keating mention a child. Had you, Miss Harper?
Not at all.
The coroner's report didn't specify when the child was born.
Where's the baby now?
And who was the father?
Miss Cherry, was there any indication of a child or a family in Miss Keating's will?
None. Miss Keating self-financed the salon and owes no debt on it.
And she raised this money whilst working for the Quinlans.
Very generous employers.
At least you two share suspicious minds.
A lawyer and a journalist. I'm not surprised.
I usually only meet the creatures after their demise. Sorry, son. But if one was found... How much does the animal weigh?
About 500 pounds, sir.
500 pounds? And you tried to take him on a streetcar? It's about 300 pounds of take-home meat. If he's being slaughtered at home, I'd try down by the fort.
You think he's dead?
Dead or on his way to it.
But he's a prize winner.
He'll be put up for auction. Probably fetch a good price. If you hear anything. I'll let you know. You know, you're not the only one looking for an animal that size. Got a call from your boss. He's looking for a pig.
The whole police department's looking for him.
I think he has other intentions. Some sort of, New Zealand pit oven? A hongi. It's been a while since I've attended one of those.
Well, I must get back to work, Louise.
Parting is such sweet sorrow.
Indeed.
Oh, right on time. Let me introduce my friends. Dr. Ogden, Miss Newsum. This is my fiancé, Mr. Teddy Davis.
a pleasure to meet you, Mr. Davis.
You as well, Doctor, Miss Newsome. Louise has told me so much about you both. Very regretful events today.
Yes, we should resume our inquiries. The police are being derelict again.
My professional gal. Well, I'll leave you to it. Good day, ladies.
He seems lovely.
He has a good job and impeccable manners. We're to be married soon.
Given that you introduced him as your fiancé, I gathered that.
I met him while I was tracking down leads on a story I was writing.
You don't say.
Teddy loves that I'm a working woman. He says he admires a lady who can pay her own way.
That's a roundabout way of saying he doesn't want to pick up the check.
Well, I think it's lovely that you've met someone who appreciates you.
Thank you, Julia. The wedding will be very simple. Neither Teddy nor I go in for the modern trend of showy weddings. No offense to you, Dr. Ogden.
Simple wedding sounds lovely. Why would I take offense?
I saw pictures of your wedding in the society pages. Both of them, actually. Do you and George plan on marrying?
We haven't discussed it.
That's no surprise. No offense, but before I met Teddy, I thought of marriage as a sign of failure.
Perhaps you could question the housemaid while we speak to the Quinlans.
Certainly, Mrs. Murdoch.
You are acting a bit like it.
I'm simply being efficient and professional. Miss Keating worked in your household for 5 years?
Yes, before she left to open the salon.
Is it possible she became with child and gave birth during her time here?
She couldn't have hidden such a thing from us. It would have been impossible.
Mrs. Quinlan, do you have any idea how Ramona managed to raise the money she needed to open the salon?
I suppose she saved up.
She never asked either of you to guarantee a loan from a bank?
I'm sorry I can't help you anymore, ladies.
I'll see you out. Please.
Ramona and I were close for a time.
What changed?
Well, then she took up with the missus, didn't she? We were always squirreled away together in corners, chatting, while I did all the work.
That's awful.
Well, that's not the half of it. Mrs. Quinlan sent Ramona up to the summer house to clean it up, even though it had just been cleaned the month before.
Ramona was sent to clean the house by herself?
Well, you can bet she wasn't cleaning the whole time. Sitting on the porch, sipping iced tea more like. What the devil are you doing?
I seem to have misplaced my notebook.
Some journalist you are.
Her time at the lake house was most likely her 3rd trimester.
And you say Mrs. Quinlan denied any knowledge of the child.
She could have been lying.
Sarah Davis was friends with Miss Keating.
And what of it?
Mrs. Davis was a nurse, specializing in midwifery.
Bring her to the salon.
What was with the orders?
This is usually a place to get a little respite from the day and catch up on gossip.
All right, I'll say what we're both thinking.
Mr. Quinlan seduced Miss Keating.
Tale as old as time.
So they sent her to the country all by herself to deliver the baby.
I found something.
I went to the summer house with Ramona. Do you know who fathered her baby? I couldn't say.
Couldn't or won't?
I won't speak ill of the dead.
What became of the child?
It was all so sad. The baby was stillborn. I don't think Miss Keating ever truly recovered.
She was despondent. She had a drink, maybe a few, slipped and fell.
Her salon was doing well. She seemed happy.
The sunny disposition is an effective mask for what lies beneath.
Is there something you want to share?
No. No, not at all.
Ladies, you might have been right about Jasper Quinlan.
What have you found?
I went to the Dominion Bank and finagled my way into some information about the Quinlan accounts. So I have an informant. Don't even ask.
All right.
In August 1906, there was a cash withdrawal of $600.
That's around the time the baby was born.
And just before Miss Keating opened her salon.
In my profession, they call that 600 hush money. Should we pay another visit to the Quinlans?
Perhaps we should tell Detective Murdoch.
I'd rather be sure before I bring William into this.
she wants to see if she can solve this one herself.
One more?
Mr. Quinlan.
What can I do for you?
I will be direct and to the point. You lied to us, Mr. Quinlan, about the pregnancy and the fact that you provided monetary assistance to Miss Keating.
You can't prove that.
I have been to your bank, and I can.
There's nothing wrong with financing a beloved servant's business endeavor.
That may be, but there's certainly something wrong with fathering a child out of wedlock and then paying off the woman to keep quiet about it.
I did nothing of the sort.
Then what did you do?
That's hardly any of your business.
It's all right, Jasper. My husband did not father Miss Keating's child. It's all right. Shh, 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 shh. Patrick Langer was the baby's father.
I see.
Ramona didn't want him to know of the baby. She was afraid of what he might do, and she wanted to open her business.
That wouldn't have been possible as an unwed mother.
Precisely.
What about the money?
The money was a gift from Jasper and me. It was in gratitude for a gift that she had given us.
She gave you her baby.
And for that, we are forever in her debt. Ramona knew that Jasper and I wanted to be parents and weren't able. We tried for years. Do you have any idea what that's like?
I do.
So, when Ramona came to be with child and knew that she couldn't be with Mr. Langer, she asked us to take her baby.
To be kept secret from the father?
He was an awful man. He still is, I'm sure.
And you had Mrs. Davis register the birth as a stillborn.
It was the best for all. Dr. Όγκτεν, no one can ever know about this, especially the father.
I can't promise you anything if in the process of figuring out how Ramona
Please,
died.
Don't. I promised Ramona that Patrick Langer would never know that he has a son. She thought him capable of harming the child.
What's the child's name?
Henry. And he's a dear. Please. Will you keep Ramona's secret?
Excellent. How soon can you have him cleaned? Why? Detective Watts? Right. Well, we'll see about that. Thank you. What?
Inspector?
Is it, or is it not true that you are of the Jewish persuasion?
It is my heritage, yes.
Then what do you want with my pig? It's not kosher.
I'm not sure I follow.
Jack Walker has secured a pig for a hangi that my wife is hosting. Now, a hangi...
I know what a hangi is.
Why does everyone know what a bloody hangi is?
You found Atlee?
You think Jack Walker's got your pig?
It could be the one that went missing. That would make it his.
I'm getting ready for the Ontario Winter Fair.
Well, he's my pig now, son. Because if I don't bring him home, my missus will have my guts for garters. And that's not a good thing.
What have you?
Ramona lied to me. She had said she hadn't seen Mr. Langer in years, but look.
Regular payments every month.
To PL.
Patrick Langer, I'm sure of it.
Ramona was making regular payments to Patrick Langer.
Why?
I don't know, but whatever the reason, he lied to the police. He said he hadn't seen Miss Keating in almost 2 years.
If he lied about that, he may have lied about his alibi. But if it holds up, there will be no reason to share what we've learned about the baby.
What was the name of the woman he was with?
Fern Franklin.
And you're quite sure about this?
I'm not sure about any of it. But the report showed that Ramona Keating had no alcohol in her body, so she didn't get pie-eyed drunk and slip.
But you found evidence of alcohol.
With rags stuffed into it, the bottles were being used to make bombs.
So you've suggested?
Éirwin told you.
Yes, right around the same time he told me my wife should mind her own business.
And what did you say to that?
I may have said that I believe she's doing just that.
Should I pursue this?
What reason is there not to?
The child? If the father knows of his existence, he may lay claim to him.
This is true. And I don't know if Detective Érdhuin is up to the task. So Ramona Keating's killer, if there is one, may go free. But there is something else.
And what's that?
Well, who's to say this Mr. Langer was where he claimed he was?
He wasn't with Miss Franklin?
He had been, but not on the night Miss Keating was murdered.
She lied to the police. Why?
Mr. Langer told her he robbed a hardware store that night. She agreed to be his alibi.
Why?
Because some women will do anything for a man.
He told her he loved her.
Do you believe he robbed the hardware store?
Of course not.
Well, that's good, because we know where he lives.
Thank goodness you're here.
Mrs. Quinlan, what's the matter?
Patrick Langer came to the house next to ours, feigning a delivery.
You're certain it was him?
Yes. The neighbors redirected him to our house. He rang our bell.
You didn't let him in.
No, I told Greta not to answer, and he went away. But what if he's found out about the baby and came looking for him?
Louise, can you find out if Mr. Langer's errand was legitimate? We need to find evidence on Langer that's irrefutable, and we need to do it fast.
Right away, boss.
Bloody hell.
Feed the whole neighborhood with plenty to share.
Can I at least say goodbye?
Oh, bloody hell.
You were gonna be a champion. Take the winter fair by storm. It's fair fit for a king, sir.
There is rumor this winter fair could get royal assent.
A royal winter fair? That'll be the bloody day.
If you want to do the hongi right, use mutton. That's the proper meat.
Oi, son. Get him out of here.
You mean it, sir?
Go on before I change my mind.
You're a good man, Tom.
Tell that to Margaret.
This is it. He's out cold. This can't be too difficult. I've seen William do it many times.
Julia Ogden, you never cease to surprise me.
It's actually harder than it looks.
Julia. Isn't this the same type of bottle used to make the bottle bombs?
Does look like it. Blood. I think I found our irrefutable evidence.
He's still passed out. Should we get the police?
I don't think that's necessary. Mr. Langer? Mr. Langer! He's dead. He ingested cyanide, or it was made to look that way.
Good work. Not work you're supposed to be doing, but you got lucky.
Thank you, I suppose.
So, Langer killed Ramona Keating, then offed himself.
So it would seem.
You're very quick to jump to that conclusion.
Well, let's see. We have the apparatus to build a firebomb, proof that he was casing the Quinlan house, a suicide note, and a bloody glove. What more do you need? Now, if you don't mind, this is a crime scene, ladies.
Thanks to our efforts.
I won't let you down.
I know you won't.
I can't wait to tell my family. Thank you.
You're giving her a chance. That's very magnanimous, Miss Harper.
Who better to run this salon? She knows the business inside out.
She also stole from a dead woman.
The circumstances of these women's lives allow for a rash decision. I'll keep her on a tightrope. Thank you for solving Ramona's murder.
It was an honor to meet you.
You as well. Thank you.
You will.
You too.
With both of them dead, we may never know where Ramona was paying Patrick Langer.
Nevertheless, Detective Murdoch will be pleased.
I'm not so sure about that. It seems all too neat and tidy.
Did you steal that from the scene?
I procured evidence to run a test. Yes, I stole it.
What are you doing here?
You don't sleep, Miss Hart. I'm conducting a blood test.
I'm aware of that. What are you doing in my office?
Please, this is important. I don't have the time for quibbles.
Well, I'll be taking this up with my superiors.
So you admit to having them. That's progress. I'll be out of your way in just a moment.
Is this related to Detective Irwin's case?
More like my case. So leave me be. The blood doesn't match.
Are you sure?
As sure as I can be.
Where did the blood on Langer's glove come from, then?
That I don't know.
I have news of my own. Mr. Langer was instructed to make a delivery to the Quinlan house.
You're sure it was a valid errand and not a ruse he made up to get close to the child?
Quite sure. A man walked into the dry goods store and arranged to have a package delivered to the Quinlans.
Did he give a name?
No. And he paid in cash, so there's no record of him.
If Langer didn't go to the Quinlan house on purpose, then the liquor bottles and the gloves could have been planted in his room by the same person who arranged that delivery.
In an effort to frame Patrick Langer for Ramona's murder.
Yes, and whoever's trying to frame him must know he's the father of Ramona's child.
Yet no one is aware of that baby but the Quinlans, Mrs. Davis, and ourselves.
Miss Cherry, did you tell anyone?
I'm offended you would even ask.
Is it possible someone read about it in your notebook?
I forgot to tell you, I found it.
Had you written the Quinlan's address in your notebook?
I believe so.
Can you show me where?
Here.
126 Birchgate Street.
That's an 8.
That's a 6.
That's a 6.
It's an 8. Oh. 126 is the address that Mr. Langer went to by mistake.
The man who arranged the delivery saw your notebook.
Impossible.
It was missing.
That's right. You noticed it was gone at the Quinlans. Right after you saw Teddy.
I'll speak to him and clear this up. Good day, ladies.
What possible motive could Louise's fiancé have to harm Ramona?
That's a very good question.
Mr. Langer killed Ramona and then himself? What's the sense in that? Did he know about the baby?
I don't know.
Well, I suppose it is a blessing.
Ladies, follow me if you want to see a man get what's coming to him. I introduced myself to Teddy's boss as his fiancé, and you know what he said to me?
No.
That must be a surprise to his wife.
Your fiancé is married?
For 3 years now. I surely hope he's a murder suspect. I want to see him dangle. This is where he lives. Perhaps we should nothing.
Louise! Oh,
You two-timing creep.
please. I can explain.
Good. I have some questions as well.
Which I will answer as soon as we get out of here. Okay, so...
Theodore? What's wrong? Mrs. Davis, you're Theodore's wife. What of it? What are you doing here? What are we doing here?
Plainly put, your husband is an adulterer.
That's a lie.
I'm afraid it is not, and it appears I am the one wearing the scarlet letter.
Theodore?
I can explain.
I have some questions regarding the death of Miss Keating and Patrick Langer.
Their deaths. Whatever does he have to do with it?
I can explain!
Call Station House 4.
Like an investigative journalist, you certainly didn't investigate your fiancé.
Shut up.
Damn bicycles.
And that's the biggest one you could find.
These are good.
I knew you'd like them. And what will you do with Atlee if he doesn't win the winter fair?
Talk to Mr. Walker about butchering him.
So you never gain an affection for the animals?
Hey, it's a wallet with legs.
If I hurry, I can get him down to the park for the last round of judging.
I'll escort you.
Let me go! Let me go! What's going on, ladies?
I'll explain later.
Do you want to help the kid find the animal?
No. I think I'm on the pig side now. I can explain.
Mr. Davis was carrying on an affair with Louise Cherry whilst married to Mrs. Davis.
Well, it's a good thing we didn't waste money on a wedding gift. Why did he want to burn the hair salon down?
It's the only place where Miss Cherry and Mrs. Davis crossed paths. He knew they were both visiting the salon the next day. He was afraid the two of them would get to talking.
Miss Keating caught him in the act. She was killed. He then planted evidence to make Mr. Langer appear guilty.
And since he was married to Miss Keating's midwife, he was more than familiar with their situation. He knew Langer had motive and would be easily blamed.
Excellent work, Detective Ogden.
Well, I did learn from the best.
Care to join us for lunch? The inspector has a surfeit of hungy mutton. Apparently it didn't go over well.
Tempting, but I have a pressing engagement.
Alice. Ladies, welcome back.
Lovely to see you, Miss Harper. So happy you could stay on.
Only long enough to help Miss West get things up and running again. If you need anything,
We'll just whistle. You know, men can keep their clubs and cigars.
It's magnificent to have a place in this town where one can enjoy the company of women.
This place is a sanctuary.
Miss Cherry, I am sorry about Teddy.
I'm not. We all deserve to be with men who deserve us.